Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday night call from some homeschooling moms. So I am really excited about this call. First of all, because I knew I was getting on this, and then my daughter and my mother-in-law got home from the store and they bought me this shirt that say Moms Run the World. And I was like, this is perfect because I'm doing this homeschool mom call tonight. So it is perfect. And that just basically will tell you my feelings about being a mom, and all of you guys who are moms, whether you homeschool or you're thinking about homeschooling or you homeschooled at one point, is that we are literally have the most important job in the world and one of the best jobs in the world. However, because of that heavy excitement but heavy burden, we experience a lot of things all the time, a lot of thoughts, a lot of physical experiences, a lot of emotional experiences, a lot of things all the time. And so I love that we are creating a space here tonight to hear from some friends who are in the trenches. They've been in the trenches, they're currently in the trenches, and about how Plexus has played a part in that, how things were, how things have changed. And I'm not going to tell you that we're all perfect because I know I'm not. And I'm still battling my inner thoughts all of the time. But I can tell you the amount of things that are different since I have stepped into this community, since I've opened the door to these products, okay, is legit. Okay, so with that, let me introduce myself and share a tiny bit of my story before I pass on to two of my super amazing friends. All right, so my name is Allie Sullivan. I am an Emerald with Plexus. I live in Connecticut, and I have 4 children who I homeschool. And I started Plexus a little over 4 years ago. I was homeschooling at the time, and I had a 1-year-old that literally was strapped to my front or my back all day long while homeschooling, and a 3-year-old that would be buckled in the high chair most of the day, or having toys on the floor, or be sleeping on the little fold out chair in the living room, like whatever have you, so that I could homeschool my other kids, which I guess at that point were like a 2nd and a 3rd grader. Okay. And also at that time, I was working part-time at a church. I was the children's director there. I was helping to take care of my husband's grandparents. Like, I was doing all of the things that many of you guys are doing in life. And even though I thought I was actually healthy, I started these products for my husband and literally only took them because to hold him accountable, and because I knew it could help with some weight loss. And I thought, well, if you're going to be hot and healthy, then so am I. Okay. But I actually thought that I was healthy. I've always been very health conscious of what I put in my body. But let me tell you something. I had a whole lot of nonsense going on up here that affected not just how I was with my kids, but my own experience with them. And one of those things is that I literally would have an earbud in 24/7 listening to some type of show. And that was for me to drown out my thoughts, to drown out my overwhelm, to be able to distract myself from the tiredness I felt, to literally keep myself awake, all of those things. And you guys, I thought I was healthy. I thought I was in a good spot. I also spent most of my afternoons hiding in the closet with my kids' Kit Kat stash and lived off of tea, Kit Kats, and a prayer. All right. I don't drink coffee. I can't handle the taste, but I was nursing tea all day long. Kit Kats every afternoon. I would take ibuprofen for a headache. I actually counted down the days until my son that I was nursing was old enough that I should be able to take it and not have to worry really about how it was affecting him. And I would do that every single afternoon. And when I started my Plexus products, when I started my pink drink, I actually stopped getting headaches on day 1. I reached up to get the ibuprofen out of the cabinet. I was like, I don't have a headache. And that for me was a little bit of a wake up call that, like, wow, how have I been just kind of surviving, walking through things? Over the next month, I stopped having plantar fasciitis pain. I stopped having sciatica pain. I stopped needing Kit Kats to get through the day. I started going to the bathroom regularly, which I didn't know that I wasn't doing until I started the products. And I just started feeling more like myself again. Okay. There wasn't some big, like, crazy, oh my gosh, but it just was a slow, like, I feel like me. And 4 years in, I can tell you I feel more like me than I ever have before. That I have been able to run again. I have been able to go after things and not feel guilty about it, not feel like my kids are suffering because of it. I've been able to encourage my kids to go after things that they wanted to, that we just couldn't before. And in 2020, during the height of the pandemic, when my husband lost all of his overtime, I was actually able to step down from my job at the church and from 2 other side jobs that I was holding, because my sharing this, what Plexus has done for me, actually was able to cover all of that and my husband's lost overtime. And that was a huge gift, because I was able to become more present as a mom, more present in the things that I felt called to do in this season. So that's just a little bit about me. With that, I want to pass this over to my friend Lisa. I love Lisa so much, and I call her fairly often, and I'm like, she's a step ahead of me in homeschooling and in momming. And I'm like, okay, tell me that this will get better, or whatever that is. So I love her and I love her story, and I can't wait for you guys to just hear from her.
Thank you, Ellie. I love you too, girl. You call me anytime. Okay, so my name is Lisa Youngs, and yes, I am older than Allie. I've been doing this a hot second for sure. I have 6 kids. My oldest is 25. My youngest is 8. So big age gap between my first and my last. And my 6-year gap between my third and fourth. So we like to say that we have our first generation of kids and our second generation. So I actually have been homeschooling. There's a huge storm right now. I bet Jen got kicked off because we're under tornado watch. So if I die, if my computer goes out, you know why. So I've been homeschooling for 22 years. Yes, 22 years. And I have an 8-year-old. So that means I'm going to be homeschooling a lot more years. Okay, so I have been blessed to be taking Plexus for over 6 years. And when I found Plexus, I actually, Jen, who was on this call, but probably got kicked off because of the rain or the storm. I watched her life transform before my eyes for 18 months. She's my sister-in-law's best friend. I watched her literally melt away. You know, her life completely changed. And it still took me 18 months of watching her to finally say yes. And when I finally said yes, it was literally just because I thought, 5 pounds. I had back surgery 9 months before I finally said yes to Plexus. I just was not in a good place. I had gained weight. I was in bed for about 3 months after my back surgery. I had lost a lot of just energy. I was struggling with anxiety attacks. And I see if you guys can relate to this. I actually could not wait till 3 o'clock because my baby would go down for a nap. My 2 little girls would sit there and watch PBS at the foot of my bed. So that's where I was. I had insomnia. It'd be 2 a.m. and I still couldn't go to sleep. I too, like Allie, my whole life had struggled with not going to the bathroom. Like I didn't even know. I would get mad at my husband because I'm like, why do you have to go to the bathroom every day? It's so annoying, because my normal was going once or twice a week. And you guys, that's not normal. So I had to take daily pain meds like Allie talked about. After my back surgery, I had to take steroids and like some heavy pain meds, and I was still struggling with pain. So I was needing to take daily ibuprofen for the sciatica, for the nerve issues, for the tingling in my feet. It was, I hated it because I hate putting in those chemicals in my body. I had struggled, like I said, the panic attacks, they would wake me up in the middle of the night. And I really just lost my laughter. I was not myself. I was not in a good place. And, that affects our families. That affects our husband, our spouses. It affects our kids. And of course, when you have that job of homeschooling, it takes a lot, as we all know. So, and one of my bad habits when I first started Plexus was I would go through the Chick-fil-A drive-through 3 to 4 times a week. And I would get a large ice cream cone and a large diet lemonade. That was my habit. So I don't drink coffee. I don't do that, but I would have that. It cost about $5 a shot, every time I would go through. So that's where I was when I started Plexus. Okay. Just so I can set the picture there. And so after a week, you guys, I did not need that daily nap. And that was huge. Like knowing that I had the energy to take care of my family, to do the things, my kids are in sports, music, we do homeschooling, co-ops, and it was a big deal because I was able to take care of my family the way I wanted to. And my husband, so after 7 days is when I noticed a difference. And then that pain that I had went away. I started sleeping through the night. Even still, almost 7 years later, I will lay my head on the pillow, 30 seconds later, I am out, which is such a gift, and I sleep soundly. Let's see, the bathroom, it's amazing what happens when you're able to go to the bathroom every day, just saying. And it's funny because when someone joins my team, that's one of the questions. I'm like, hey, we're going to be talking about poop, so just get used to it. So that's what happened. That was just my journey. And what I did, because I knew what it takes to homeschool, to be a parent, I literally went down my homeschool group and called every single mom on there, because not needing a nap and having the energy to take care of my family was incredible and such a gift. So I was very blessed that people, first of all, they saw the change in me. I had walked after my back surgery like a 90-year-old lady. At one point, I was using a cane because of the pain was so intense. So my friends and family that saw that I was able to walk upright with no pain and I was laughing, they were asking, what are you doing? And they could see the inches were coming off. So what I thought would, be 5 pounds, maybe, I was able to go from a size 14, 16 down to an 8, 10. And people noticed that. So they jumped on board with me. And I too, in 2020, when all that craziness was happening, my husband got laid off and my Plexus income actually helped pay my mortgage and help us keep our house. So as a stay-at-home mom, I had kept asking my husband, should I go to get a job at the bank? Should I do this? Should I do this? Offering to help because, feeding 6 kids, it's a lot of mouths to feed. And I knew that was putting a lot of pressure on him and stress. And I wanted to relieve him from some of that. And what I found was just the perfect fit for our family. I was able to stay home, keep homeschooling my babies, which was my heart's desire, and work in a way that I loved it. It was one of those when you're adding values, watching people's lives change, it's just the best. And it never, ever gets old when you hear how these products are changing people's lives. So I'm totally grateful. And one of the best things that I have, with my older kids, they are able to look at me and tell me, Mom, you are not the same mom that you were when we were younger. And that is such a gift to me and such a testament of truly how Plexus has been life-changing for me and our family.
Lisa, I love that so much. I love that you said your kids noticed a difference in you. I actually got a migraine for the first time in like 4 years last week after having like 2 nights of no sleep. And my 11-year-old son said to me, he's like, Mom, remember when you used to get headaches like this all the time? And we used to have to like bring you medicine in bed. I'm like, you remember that? And he's like, yeah. So it is crazy that things that they notice. So, okay, I am going to pass it over to my really good friend who I love her story. It was one of the first stories I heard when I joined Plexus. And I just literally, every time she talks, I love to hear her. So hopefully her power stays on and then we get to hear her story. But Jen, take it away.
Okay, so we have storms coming through Tennessee, but we carry on. That's how we Tennesseans do it. So it's interesting because this is the first time I have a graduate. Lisa's already graduated a few kids through her homeschool. And this is the first year my oldest will be graduating. And I'm not going to lie, saying that we've done it from kindergarten through 12th grade feels like the greatest victory and absolute boasting rights, because homeschool is not easy. And the reason people choose to do it are all over the board. It could be more time with your kids. It could be that your child has this particular need or a want that you feel like will only be met by you. It could be that you're in a community like we are, where there are a lot of homeschoolers and you want to do life with them. There's lots of reasons. So we chose to do homeschool, and how do you do homeschool when nobody's giving you the money for the curriculum? Nobody's saying, hey, let me give you a computer to help you out with that situation. Like, this is all on the families. And I remember there was a free yard sale at a local church. It's called Joy Church. And of course, we were like, free yard sale? Yeah. And so we show up at this free yard sale, and in a box was a Becca. And if you homeschool, you're like, I know a Becca. There was a Becca kindergarten homeschool curriculum while our son was going into kindergarten. I mean, it was literally like the greatest blessing, maybe a couple pages missing from each workbook. And so I started homeschool kindergarten, first grade, second grade, using curriculum that was all hand-me-downs from other families. And I just made do with that. And it absolutely worked, and it met that need. But I will tell you that mama was exhausted. I was tired. I got cranky. I wasn't as patient as I probably should have or could have been. And that was always weighing on me. Is he going to get a better experience if he goes to school where like the teacher has Starbucks? Like, is he going to have someone that's able to like be awake and not be like, can we take a nap, please? Like, could this be like kindergarten nap time? Those were things that were really a struggle for me, because when he was in kindergarten, I had 3 children and another one on the way. So that's really hard to juggle all that. Why does that matter when it comes to the Plexus opportunity? Here's why it matters. When you're able to have extra margin in your budget, here's what ends up happening. You're able to take some of those things that actually were really weighing on you or were hard for you to balance and start to shop them off. So what I've been able to do, the more that I've shared the products, the more I've taught other people how to share the products, my paycheck has gone up. The more it goes up, the more I can say, you know what? I'm going to let this part of my life that isn't my passion, that isn't something that I want to spend my time doing, I'm going to let somebody else do that. And so we hired somebody to do our laundry. Okay, that probably sounds crazy, right? Like, we don't have a housekeeper. I don't have a tutor for the kids. I don't have any of that. But we have someone that does our laundry. So no more like teaching about the American Revolution and folding jeans, and no more like trying to do math on the dry erase board with like piles of towels up to the ceiling. So I was able, because of the income, to have more leverage with my time. Could I, with being at the very top rank of the company, which has like an average of $400,000 in annual income, could I hire a tutor? Could I put my children in private school? I could, and there would be nothing wrong with that. But my heart was to be my children's mom and their teacher, to teach them how to think critically, to teach them about the passions that they have and how they can be used to make this world a better place. I want to be in the trenches, like Allie said earlier, doing those things. And so that's why even now I want to sit down with my kids and I want to do their school with them. And so with the Plexus income, we can choose our curriculum. We can choose exactly what we want to do, and we can bless other families. So we've been able to help other families afford their curriculum and their tutorials. So how do you fit this into your homeschool life? You're like, if you're doing all this school, when are you doing all of this work? Well, this is a really cool lesson for your kids in entrepreneurship, because my kids understand about time blocking. You know, mom has a meeting right now. They're all in the house, but they know you making noise and mama coming after you. Like, they understand there's meetings, there's time for play, there's time for work, and there's time for Plexus. They understand about what it looks like to be self-employed and having to make priorities and putting things on the calendar and scheduling. And they understand about leadership. They understand about qualities and character that I probably would have never taught them about had I not entered network marketing. I mean, people call yourselves a lot of times an accidental network marketer. And I like that, because you didn't know you were going to come into this being 100% willing and able to be successful with this. But when you see an open door, you better walk through it. And so most of us have done that. And it's actually grown a business that has allowed us to have the extra time to homeschool, to have the extra money to be able to afford the curriculum and get help in the areas that might have been hard for us to balance in the first place. And then it's also given us the opportunity to bless other homeschool families, because when you're passionate about homeschooling, honestly, that's the only way that you can do it. Because if you are not passionate, there's no way you're putting up with an eye roll. You're just not gonna do it. So Plexus has allowed us to be the kind of homeschool family that can see it through to the end, and it wasn't a financial strain, and it allowed us to focus more on the joy than on the struggle. All right, Allie, I'm gonna pass it back to you.
Okay, I love that so stinking much. It's amazing just to hear to hear your story. And so what you made me think about is that, like, why is Plexus literally perfect for the homeschooling mom? And I think because of all the things that Jen just mentioned. And so that made me think, it's perfect for the homeschooling mom, because what homeschooling mom doesn't need? More energy, to feel better, to go to the bathroom regularly, to, like, all of these things, struggling with postpartum depression or inflammation in your body or pain or headaches or all of these things. Like, who doesn't need help with that? And who does not need a little bit of extra income? And as homeschool moms, like, we so naturally share the things we love. We share the things that work, right? How many of us were like, this curriculum is amazing. We write reviews on things. We pass it on to our friends. You must try this. Or we're like, never try this. It didn't work for me. And if you're like me, it won't work, right? Like, we're so opinionated, and we share those things, and people trust what we have to say because of what we're doing, because we are, yes, the best laminating machine. Yes. But because we're so intentional with our life, if we were not intentional about what we wanted to do, we wouldn't be homeschooling. And that's not to say people who send their kids to school are not intentional. They're intentionally making that choice as well. But people trust that intentionality and those choices that we are making for our family. And so I honestly think that, if you are a homeschooling mom and you're considering these products, like, go back to the person and say, hey, I resonated with Allie the most, or Lisa the most, or Jen the most, and why? And let's see, hey, could this be something that goes along with your own homeschooling journey? Maybe it's the products. Maybe you need that little pick me up. Maybe it's this community and you want to be surrounded by people who are just pouring good stuff and encouragement into you, some other adults to talk to. I did not know how much I needed other adult women in my life who were encouraging, who were excited about their day, who were excited about helping their kids, right? Like, I live in a space where most people don't homeschool, and they thought I was ridiculous and crazy and all kinds of things for doing it. And so to be able to find other people who were like, no, like, this is amazing. We can do both. We can do what we want to do, was incredible. Or maybe you are thinking, you know what? I would love to have that extra $400 a month or $500 a month to be able to cover the curriculum or the extracurricular activities or those things, or our mortgage when things get tight or whatever, or to be able to completely, finance your entire life. And so whatever it is, to think about, what do I resonate with most? What could this look like if Plexus became a part of my homeschooling journey, my family's homeschooling journey? So I hope tonight that you have been encouraged, that you have seen yourself in one of us. Please do not go to bed tonight or wake up tomorrow without your questions being answered. Let the person who invited you know, just who did you relate to and what do you think this could do for you? All right. We're super thankful for you guys for taking the time out here on a Wednesday night. If you're like me, I'm hiding in my bathroom here as hopefully my kids are falling asleep. All right. And this is just real life. We are just real people who are here just trying to spread a little bit of that hope and that happiness. So I hope you guys have a great night. Peace out, friends.